Hi there, welcome to Nashville, Tennessee. We are in Honky Tonk Hollywood today for the Bitcoin Conference 2024. Have a little impromptu get together with some heads from the crypto sphere, if you will. Different projects, different coins, different things represented here in the room. And I'm going to let these guys just introduce themselves, go around and state who they are, and talk about what they are working on. This is, again, spur of the moment. We just kind of threw this together last minute, and so hopefully we can have some good discussions and talks here about cryptocurrency. So we'll start it off here to my left.
Okay, I'm Robert Hirsch. I'm kind of the newest member to crypto leadership, I should say. My project is called Continuum Protocol. We develop technology that helps bond blockchains together in a fully trustless way, and we use that technology to deploy into chains as they accept that technology. Our first one is called ZKALYX, and that's that. That's good enough, I think.
Right. I'm Steve Thurmond with Forward Financial. I work primarily in the traditional finance space, but a cryptocurrency enthusiast, BitcoinCash advocate, and that's it for me.
Hey everyone, I'm Joel Valenzuela. I've been in the crypto space roughly 12 years. Been living entirely on crypto since 2015, and I have a podcast, Digital Cash Network, where I've interviewed a few of these people here, and I also work full-time for Dash in biz dev and marketing.
Cool, I'm JP, THORChain. I got into Bitcoin in 2013 and been building since 2016. Been building THORChain, which is basically a swapping network between BitcoinCash. Dash is on Maya, but we THORChain aggregates between the two.
They call it THORChain's hot little sister.
Yeah. I'll take it. And some other big coins. And this next 6 months we're focusing on more aggregation, Solana, IBC, L2s, maybe even Telegram, Ton, speaking emerging ecosystem. But yeah, lots of exciting things coming down the range, that's for sure.
Cool. I'm Kallist.cash. I am the lead developer for the Selene wallet for BitcoinCash. Really excited to be here with some of the realest people in crypto. Nice to meet some of these people for the first time in real life, and it's been a good day here in Nashville so far. What do you guys think? We've been having a good day?
We just rolled in, so haven't been actually to the conference yet, but you've already spent the day there. If you want to just kind of share what your experience has been thus far. I think you came in last night, right?
Yeah.
Battling Maxis the whole way in?
No. I mean, so the Nashville airport was pretty clear by the time I got into it. I couldn't even get food. Everything was closed down. Getting into the conference was real smooth. I rolled in at about 9 o'clock, just walked right through security, no big deal. And the energy was good in the morning. Lots of people. Everyone was pretty excited to be there. The expos were pretty lively, I would say, especially in the morning. About 50% of the expo section is just dedicated to mining. They had a lot of really cool stuff there. And then in the back wall, they had a lot of people selling art. In particular, I actually want to give a shout out to the people who were doing the Essence of Bitcoin artwork. I thought that was super cool. If you look at my Twitter, I've got some pictures of some of the stuff they did. It's like they called it lightning channels. It was really funny. I can't remember the exact word that they used, but it literally looks like lightning kind of grafted against like some wood, and then they put this glass and jewels and stuff. Yeah, more utility than I don't know. Maybe this artwork could be a store of value, right? And then they had a couple other booths. Blockstream was there with their Blockstream Jade. They were talking about the Aqua wallet. I had a actually pretty decent conversation with them, which was surprising considering that I'm in BCH and they're Blockstream. But apparently the company has gone through some restructuring, so most of the people that I would consider Blockstream opposition actually don't even work for Blockstream anymore, funny enough. They had the big Wave Lake exhibit. It was a big dome with a moon on top, and they had a display where people were able to scan a Lightning invoice, and it would put a little message up on the board, and it would give those sats to whoever the artist was that was playing the music in that dome. So that was pretty cool. I actually was having a lot of problems with that though, because Lightning Network is not the greatest technology. I had a lot of trouble finding a Lightning wallet that would actually work with it. I tried Moon, I tried eNuts, which is like a beta eCash wallet, like Fedimint thing. I tried. I ended up using Aqua at the end of it, but I couldn't put the message on, unfortunately. I wanted to put a big old message that said BitcoinCash is the real Bitcoin. But overall, I mean, yeah, it's been good energy today. A lot of people hanging out in the halls, great networking opportunities. It's actually how I connected with Robert today. He just saw my post on Twitter. He's like, yeah, let's link up. And now we're all here. I met Steve at the BCH Bliss concert, and I've been on Joel's podcast a few times. So honestly, the only stranger to me is JP. But it's just been pretty cool to meet everyone, do the networking, see the exhibits. Unfortunately, with all of that positivity, there's very strongly the vibe of TradFi L2 politics stuff here rather than Bitcoin stuff, which is what I'm actually interested in. So I've actually been kind of bored, I'm not going to lie.
Do you want to share anything about Selene, what you're working on, anything on the horizon? Is there anything you can share about the wallet in particular for anyone? Any nuggets you can drop?
Hopefully performance is a lot smoother. We've got the new biometric authentication in there, improved like the sync code. So overall, just like it should be a smoother experience. And I was actually able to onboard somebody earlier today when I was on my way to get lunch with Robert. Somebody from a charity stopped me and was asking me, yeah, so are you a Bitcoin person? What's the point of Bitcoin? And I'm like, I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm on the green team. Let me simplify this. There's
You're
orange
the right
Bitcoin
person to ask, sir.
Yeah.
The right person.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask, right? So there's orange Bitcoin, there's green Bitcoin, and let me just tell you that those guys lost the plot. And they're like, yeah, it actually kind of seems that way. Total outsider.
Wow.
So like they were also picking up on the TradFi politics vibes, and that's what we're dealing with in there. Unfortunately, it's not so much Bitcoin.
Political candidates coming in, it definitely gives an image of what that thing is.
Yeah.
Over other things. I mean,
Yeah. So I have an interesting perspective about that. First off, I did post on the platform formerly known as Twitter a few days ago about the lineup of speakers that all the keynotes were political or investment people, not a single Bitcoiner, except for maybe Snowden if you can, but he's more of a Zcasher, honestly. And it's sort of like Consensus was the same thing. I was in Consensus in Austin a few months ago, and it's the same thing where it's gotten to that level where it's all like power broker influencer kind of thing, and then the people actually interested in the tech and using it and stuff aren't like headliners, but they're all like milling about, or they're all in town for the conference but don't have a ticket, and they're just meeting off-site or in the lobby or something like that to avoid the ticket. And the Litecoin conference, which I just was on this last couple days, right across the street actually, had a more 2014 to 2018 Bitcoin conference vibe, kind of. Where it was still like a lot of people were just, oh, I want to spend the stuff, I want to do this, and just much more of an inclusive vibe, and much more of like the kinds of people you're interested in talking to at the event are the same people who are presenting. Whereas some of these bigger conferences, like it's all just like the big headliners, the big money, the big, no one wants to actually hear them talk kind of thing. And then all like the cool people are like milling about down below, but they're not, there's a disconnect kind of.
Somebody told me the real party's in the hallways, and so far that's been my experience.
or off-site. I mean, there's a whole, I don't know if you guys seen the list, but there's a bunch of events happening all around.
Yeah.
And so some of those are interesting.
They're going to capitalize on the opportunity of.
Right,
It's like that, yeah.
Have any of you been to Bitcoin conferences in the past in Miami when they were centered there?
I go to a local Bitcoin meetup in Michigan.
Okay.
We have got a pretty good meetup network, but that's about it. Just the meetups, not really anything big. There's like 20 to 25 regulars for that. Nothing this big though.
Okay. Quick question on the Selene wallet. I guess some Nashville vibes coming from behind us here.
Vroom vroom.
That's right. So, love the Selene wallet. It's my wallet of preference and choice. The shareable link in the Bitcoin.com wallet is really, really powerful. Do you see that sweep option coming down the pike for Selene? Can you give us any kind of timeline on that?
Yeah. Actually, the shareable link is one of our highest priorities right now. So with the month of August, Jeremy and I are really focused on kind of polishing up the features that we have, doing some UI improvements. He's really excited to build out our new Explore tab with all of the kind of encyclopedic content that we're going to add to Selene to help people get more informed and learn more about the ecosystem. That's something we've been really excited to get, where we just had to get like the main wallet stable first. So that's our focus for August. But after that, shareable link is the next thing on the radar. there. So I've already started doing some of the groundwork and research on it to figure out how we're going to do that as far as implementation. And I'm hoping that by the end of September we can have that as a feature. And then also with the stamps, the sweep feature is probably closely related. So
Awesome.
if it's around the same time frame, I wouldn't be surprised.
Fantastic.
Besides your community, besides you deciding what has priority, is it your community kind of saying we want this, or like what guides the new features coming in?
Yeah, so I mean, early on, Jeremy and I had our vision, right? And I had roughly, okay, from a like programming perspective, architectural perspective, this is probably the order that we should do things, or at least some of the order of my own preferences, right? We just do stuff, then we get community feedback. You know, we're constantly talking to our users in the Selene Wallet Telegram, getting feedback off of Twitter, and people will let us know what they want. So I'll run polls sometime. I actually just ran a poll like, all right, what should our next focus be? And a lot of people surprisingly did say, yeah, just focus on polish. We don't need new features right now. So like I was really interested in doing, say, like cash tokens, but I think cash tokens is really well served by Paytaka and Cashanize right now. So we don't really need to touch on that. The cash tokens ecosystem is still pretty small. And then shareable link, I think, is probably our number one most requested feature right now. So that really bumped it up in priority. Due to some of the technical challenges, it was, farther along on the roadmap. But since it's so highly requested, I'm just like, let's do the research. Let's figure it out then.
Fantastic. JP, I remember back 2018-ish, trying to swap BTC for ETH was an absolute clunky nightmare. You had to wrap it, bridge it through, I think I used BitCafe or something like that, unwrap it, hope it went through all the channels after an hour of all these transitions. So THORChain seems to strike right at the root of that issue and problem. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the project in general and your vision going forward, going ahead with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's probably 90% of all decentralized swaps today, between ETH, Bitcoin, BitcoinCash, Litecoin, Dogecoin. There's a couple of L2s in there. Atom. I was looking today, there were multi $2-3 million swaps going over the net. There's a lot of ETH to Bitcoin swaps today, funny enough. But yeah, it's a layer one swapping. So it's basically change or change now, but all the old shapeshift, but in a decentralized way. It's run by 100 nodes around the world that bond up large amounts of capital. And then they maintain these liquidity pools like Uniswap, and so you put your on-chain UTXO downrange and it will respond to that and swap over the top. What I recognize is the need for aggregation. So there's especially with Taproot on Bitcoin, I'm not sure if you guys are going to do anything like that, BitcoinCash.
Like Taproot, nah. Maybe, but
maybe. Well, there's an opportunity to do aggregation, so a long tail asset swap into a short tail asset across the network. So for example, you could swap, say, Bitcoin short tail across the network into ETH, which gets long tail swapped via an on-chain AMM through an ERC20. So we can do that into the IBC ecosystem, L2s, Telegram, and more. But it's interesting because we released lending features and savings features for the major L1s. All hit pretty good adoption. There's about 100 million in savers, about 150 million in lending. So right now we're just trying to work out how to scale that to hopefully 10x that. And if we can figure out how to scale that, then the protocol can offer swaps, lending, and savings features for the major assets. So that's the focus.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any speculation or insider information on the unit that's dropping 800 AVAX for BCH this last week every day?
I'm sure the on-chain sleuths can figure out who that is, but I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the large movements happen. In fact, generally, if you watch, because the large retail users, whales, are using THORChain to do the big swaps. And it's pretty reflective of the wider sentiments. And these are they're not market made or fake or manipulated volume. These are real people doing large swaps. So they hit the chain and a few seconds later they pop up on the Telegram bots and so you can see what's going on. And I've been noticing that the large whale swaps are kind of leading the market. So you can start to see people move in large amounts and then the market moves and it's interesting.
Yeah, that stuff makes sense to me because I've been obviously in crypto a long time. I've used a lot of swap services. There's a heavy centralized shapeshift user back in the day for everything. And then when they kind of started doing counts and stuff and getting cracked down on, that really did some damage.
Yeah.
There are a lot of centralized swap systems that still aren't KYC, but there's, as someone is like a privacy advocate or whatever, it's like a minefield because like you hit Changelly at the right, and that sometimes they'll just flag your thing and hold your money hostage, and it's just a centralized swap thing, or then they'll rug or something like that. And so operating in that kind of like a non-ecosystem is just like a minefield. And then I can easily understand why if you have like a significant amount of capital, I'm sure you worked very hard for a long time, and you want to swap it to a different asset, and you're just like, am I going to step on KYC mine and get rugged here? Or can I just swap it through a decentralized protocol and get a great rate at it, and just not have to worry? That guarantee is something that I think is one reason why you have a lot of like whales, because like if you get like your $30 worth swap kind of stuck, you don't really care. But if you get your $30,000 or $300,000 or more, 3 million swap stuck, then you really care, and that's why probably they're going to THORChain instead.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the centralized exchanges are moving on chain. So Binance have got their own chain and wallet. Coinbase their own L2 and wallet. Kraken have got a wallet now, about to release an L2. OKX, you name it. Like all the major exchanges are going on chain because their users can do more and get away with more on chain. So I see like over the next 5-10 years, the centralized exchanges are going to just essentially be the KYC gatehouses for most of these ecosystems, and most on-chain activity will be for hundreds of million users. That's the plan with wallets and what you guys are building. So cross-chain swaps is being able to not have to use a centralized exchange to swap to decentralized assets. It's going to be such a easy bet to make. I mean, the future is 100% multi-chain. There'll be lots of chains, lots of L2s, lots of different. I mean, just look at the major ones right now: Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, Ton, are all different architectures, like massively different architecture. From Bitcoin UTXO to Ethereum EVM to Solana SVM to Telegram with their own weird language, and and even the architecture is just completely different. So Binance is not going to care about cross-chain. Coinbase is not going to care about cross-chain. OKX isn't. Who cares about the cross-chain experience, right? So yeah, the users do.
They need it.
The centralized exchanges just want the users to swap via the centralized exchange. So none of them are going to solve that problem. It's up to us to solve that problem and build the tools. So that's why the cross-chain decentralized exchange will be community owned, like THORChain or Maya or whatever, one of those protocols for sure.
One of the biggest pain points I see in this in the crypto ecosystem is the on and off ramps. Any ideas or insight, or are you working on anything to tackle the Goliath that is moving from traditional finance fiat world to the cryptocurrency world, non-KYC, decentralized? That seems like a kraken that cannot be destroyed. I don't know what happens, long term in that regard, but most people, myself included, until THORChain came along, I would go my U.S. bank to Coinbase or Gemini, swap it for BCH, and then move it to one of my wallets, which is clunky and inefficient and fully KYC'd start to finish. So
long term, all money in the next few decades will go to tokenized US treasuries, and all L2s will just become tokenized USDs settlement layers, so aka stablecoin settlement layers. That's over the next 10-20 years. There'll be an infinite demand for US debt, so don't even worry about it. Just pay the interest rate and print away. The euro dollar, so the offshore demand for US treasuries is basically almost infinite. So everyone, all the fiat currencies are going to move to basically stablecoins. And all your L2s are going to settle those stablecoins. Ethereum is just going to be a stablecoin settlement layer. Solana will be a stablecoin settlement layer. And that base asset is going to be valued at the discounted cash flow of those protocols, like the gas fees long term, and the users paying for that. Ultimately, people will abandon a fiat currency and adopt a proof of work asset. I think it's going to be Bitcoin long term. the offer of money. Well, BitcoinCash is still proof of work. But in the next 10, 20 years. So the Fiat on-off ramp problem, that's just an intermediary problem. Where we're going, we won't need Fiat. You will probably use stablecoins, Tether, USDC, doesn't matter. And you'll hop between L2s. When you go into a country, like an island country or Europe country, the whole country will be on an L2 with US treasuries as their currency. That's the intermediate stop there.
That's your prediction.
So I think the technical challenge to incorporate fiat will probably go down. That's what you're saying. Like that barrier will be lower, but the regulatory stuff will probably be the same. There's like,
sure,
we can do it now.
It's a death grip. It's a death grip they're not going to let go of. So is my question is there a way around that? Is there a solution to that? In short, is there a way to go from the fiat world to the crypto world without KYC?
KYC is honestly, KYC is fine. It's already a highly KYC'd money, traditional assets, and so you shouldn't have any issues with declaring who you are to get into the system. And it really depends on how fluid you are. Like if you really know how to do it, you can do it. You're never going to get locked on chain. If you choose the wrong asset, then you get locked on chain. But 99.9% of the population shouldn't honestly have any issues with KYC Fiat on-ramps at all.
You would think, but then you've got outfits like Local Bitcoins getting shut down, in the last few years, and then Local Monero followed suit with that. So it seems like they at least want control over that flow.
Right, so that's people moving in and out these KYC coins, which is fiat. The moving in and out of a heavily surveilled and tracked asset with an asset that's quite fluid. So of course there's going to be control of that gate. So long term, actually, banks and centralized exchanges are just going to be the gatehouses for in and out. But ultimately, long term, you'll be on chain, and your money will flow to the assets that allow you the greatest freedom when you're on chain.
I can tell you a solution that I just heard at one of the meetings I had. There was a company there in Africa where people don't have bank accounts, and they have their phones, and they are providing accounts to the company's bank account so that people can use their phones for moving dollars around. And so they have 100,000 or hundreds of thousands of clients that are just moving cash this way. They don't actually have the cash or the bank account, but that same company is like, well, we can do crypto also, and that's not KYC. That's just having an account with this company. So there are places where there's infrastructure like this company who can do things like that, but I don't think you can do that here. Like the KYC, it's hard to do anything here without it. So I agree.
An analogy I would give is sort of like moving from fiat to crypto, and like the problem is like the problem of like transcribing documents. It's like eventually people are going to stop writing down shit on paper, and it's all going to be digital. And just right now, it's a temporary problem where people have like tomes of things that they need to like pass and scan and then put into PDF somewhere and make everyone's life miserable. But like at some point, people are just going to be digital to digital, and it's just not going to be. The fiat on-ramp thing is kind of a legacy problem, sort of.
Makes sense. And then once you're in the ecosphere, there's different privacy tools I guess you can use, like Cash Fusion in our world, and of course Monero, Zcash, the other options there.
I'm honestly not convinced that KYC is as big of an issue going in as it is going out. Because, like JP is saying, okay, I already have a bank account, which is already KYC'd. I already have a Coinbase account, which is KYC'd. Coinbase isn't really stopping me from buying crypto. Sometimes they might stop me from withdrawing it from a wallet. I've seen cases of that. Not necessarily Coinbase, with like other exchanges, though. But I think really the problem is going out because they want to know where that money came from, right? So, for instance, Selene Wallet Flipstarter, I made a bunch of BCH, and that's like my main money now, right? Well, if I got to convert that back into dollars, I'm sure the government would love to know where that money came from, and that's where KYC is an issue. Whereas if I got paid directly, that Flipstarter money's not KYC'd, right? I can use Cash Fusion or other privacy tools, or I can even go on THORSwap and swap it into something else, and I'm still outside of the purview of KYC at that point. Sure. So going in, once you're in, you're in. So it doesn't really necessarily matter how you get the crypto, whether you trade it for dollars or you trade it for labor or anything else.
The matrix
Yeah, it's going back out to the matrix. They're going to be tracking you at that point.
Highlighting why peer-to-peer, once you're in, is so important.
Yes.
Yeah, also, like, it's not incredibly difficult to just not have fiat in a bank account.
Yeah.
Right? It's not incredibly easy, but it's definitely not incredibly difficult, and it's getting easier all the time. And like even people who are like purely online creators, there's a company that's fantastic called Spritz Finance that lets you basically, they give you a bank account that if you direct deposit into it, it just comes out in like USDC and Arbitrum on the other side. So you could earn your entire fiat salary without doing anything differently, all in a stable coin, and then now you're out. Now it's like once you just KYC with them to do that, then you never have to ask where the money came from because it comes from the, as you mentioned, the surveilled fiat sources. But then it's out and you're into the freedom zone. And what happens if you want to pay your mortgage bill? That same company will take a variety of cryptos, including Bitcoin and Dash and all these Ethereum things and Avalanche and stuff, to actually pay your utility bills. So now once you do that, when you buy your coffee, then they have a prepaid card you can load from there, and they never ask you where it came from or anything. And that's just one tool. So with the plethora of tools out there, I think that it's more like, you don't really need to like crypto back into fiat. That's as you pointed out, that's what sort of sounds the systems like money laundering alarms, where they're just like, oh, this guy's doing sketchy things. Like crypto is a means to get more fiat. It's kind of a scam, and that's sort of part of the thing that's a little bit ironic with some of, again, the modern like Sailor era Bitcoin stuff is people use Bitcoin as they consider Bitcoin as a tool to get more fiat, and it's just like, why do you want more fiat? Like, we have better things than fiat. Like, if you need fiat to pay a bill that you otherwise cannot find a way to do, okay, I understand that, but like, the whole point of this thing is like, once you use crypto as like a crypto native, and like, where's the THORChain for fiat? Like, was it the kiosk at the freaking airport where you have to get robbed over there? Like,
That's exactly what it is.
Like things just work so much better on the completely digital, decentralized rails.
You've been living that life, right? And you guys probably knew, but I just learned you've been living only crypto.
Yeah,
And
2015.
you're writing a how-to guide, or?
I've written a few, and then they're outdated in a month or two, so I need to keep doing it because like the how-to changes from day to day, but drop some hints just now, and it's, the thing is like, I have choices. Like if I decide, this stuff is too hard, I need a bank account, I need a credit score, all this stuff, I can do that. I know some friends who don't have birth certificates, and they don't exist as humans, and so they cannot KYC, because KYC, they can't be KY'd, because they don't exist. And so they live all off of cash and crypto, and the cash only world sucks. The cash and crypto world is like 80 to 90% of like a fully, documented person kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's getting a lot better.
Yeah, I've been running crypto businesses and treasuries since 2016, and it honestly isn't that hard to get it in and out if you just say the right things at the right time. Haven't had any horror stories, honestly. And yeah, so once you know the tools, like you were hinting, and there's quite a few tools out there, you can move like water. You can just move like water. People get fixated because they get blocked at this one point, and like Jet Li said, just move like water. There's always another way. You just gotta figure it out.
Can you talk about the fee structure compared to a typical exchange rate scenario? Let's just use Coinbase for an example.
Is it streaming swap shill o'clock now?
Right, so there's multiple fees that you pay. So you pay the on-chain fee. So when you make a BitcoinCash transaction, you'll pay that fee, and then it gets confirmation counted into the network, and then you'll pay a liquidity fee, which is your demand of the liquidity at any given point, and you'll create a slip. You'll slip the pool's price, and you hope that with the new feature streaming swaps, that over the time domain, arbitrage will bring capital to meet your need for it during the time that the swap's streamed. And then you'll pay an outbound fee to pay the vaults, the gas fee to send it out. And then you may pay an affiliate fee. So if the wallet wants to earn income, so True and Trust Wallet integrated with THORChain, I think they're making $1 million a month on affiliate fees right now, which is wild.
which was wild that CZ didn't even know that they were using THORChain.
Yeah, it's
That was
crazy.
a little weird, but I'm sure he has bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Yeah, if only I wasn't a maxi.
So yeah, there's multiple fees and they all kind of do different things.
How does it compare to?
No, it beats 100%. Yeah, it beats on time and price execution. Yeah, which is wild. It's true, especially with streaming swaps. So streaming swaps introduces the time domain in a swap rather than doing one giant swap in one go. It just kind of like backs up one side and just streams it across. So it gives arbitrage enough time to backfill. And if you're doing a giant swap of $1 million, you don't mind waiting 1 or 2 hours for it to stream across at 5 bips. And most people use, especially with the Bitcoin guys and BitcoinCash guys, is you're used to waiting, minutes, hours for your transaction to get confirmed. So if the swap takes 40 minutes, that's fine. It's still faster than logging into a centralized exchange, going through KYC and two-factor, doing a swap, and then doing it all the same time. Especially when most exchanges lock you out for 24 hours if you haven't logged in for a while.
Seems like a no-brainer. What do you think the shelf life is of centralized exchanges with technology like this?
They will be the KYC gatehouses for the next 20 years. Yeah, so they will, like Coinbase is moving to, it's becoming a KYC gatehouse for base chain, and they want to put 100 million users onto base chain with the Coinbase wallet. And the fee model won't be like bips on the trades anymore. It's just going to be sequencer fees and gas fees, or just for sequencer fees. So that's the future model, and they can get away with so much more. So there's so much regulation what users can do on a centralized exchange. But if the centralized exchange becomes just a KYC gatehouse and lets users run amok on the distributed MySQL database, then I mean, the crazy thing is all those L2s are completely centralized, although they have distributed execution and deterministic state transitions. So you can see the difference is, rather than interacting with the Coinbase closed source database, so you don't know the state transitions, you can see it in front of you and you know what the state transition is going to be. So it's got open finance. It's not really decentralized finance, it's more like open finance, which is it's an interesting intermediary period.
Joel,
Hey.
you're a big Dash advocate.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that and your experience thus far at the conference? Where does Dash fit in this ecosystem? What are your thoughts long term? You've been living on crypto for a while, so just talk to us.
Yeah, so, Dash has been around 10 years as of now, so it's one of the long in the tooth crypto projects, not quite at the Bitcoin level, but very close. And my kind of where I came from the ecosystem there is, in 2015, I decided I'm not going to be paid by Fiat anymore. Only people pay me in Bitcoin. So I did that, closed my bank account the next year, and then in later 2016, the Bitcoin fees started to go up, the transaction, all the usual BitcoinCash style talking points, right? But it affected my ability to use this as my daily money. And I just decided to choose, was I going to go back to my bank and beg for my account back, or was I going to find ways of keeping on doing this? So I literally went on this top of the CoinMarketCap rankings and just I went down to Ethereum. That's not really money. I'm glad they didn't do that. Those fees got even worse.
Yes.
And it's like Litecoin was abandoned at the time as the code base. Litecoin's had quite the resurgence, which I have to give them credit for. But at the time, it was an abandoned project. So I was and Dash was the first one I could stop down at. Eventually,
You skipped one,
which was that.
BitcoinCash.
Well, that was this is a year before it existed.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're going back
10 years ago was
You're going back 10
2014.
years. 10 years, okay.
Yeah,
I missed that nuance.
Yeah, so it didn't even exist, much less stable after all the crazy stuff.
I know Ripple was around.
Yeah.
That was third.
I got a comedian in the room here. So, so it was the only thing I could use to continue living the way I was. And then eventually I just got, hooked on just instant deterministic settlement where it's just you send it, it's done. And you don't have to worry about it. And then, built-in privacy features. And then what I really got sold on was this mission, this idea that was called Dash Evolution, which was to add usernames and contact lists at the protocol level and basically give a decentralized Venmo type experience. And that was the big hype thing that propelled Dash into the top 3 in 2017. And then the big like crash thing when it's like year after year of delays and then people getting fired and all this kind of drama that is a story that I promised to give an exclusive to a different crypto publication, so I'll get into that there. But finally on Monday it's being released, and yeah, it's good times. But basically nothing else has been quite as easy for what I do, which is just live on crypto that's not like a stable coin or anything.
So I've talked to another New Hampshire native that has been living exclusively on crypto since 2019, Aaron Day.
Oh, yeah.
And he said out of necessity, he cannot use just one crypto. In his experience, he uses multiple coins and chains to accomplish what he needs to live solely on crypto.
Yeah.
Is that something you would echo?
So,
Well-
are you 100% Dash?
No. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I use all the Thor children, so those are chains, right? THORChain, Maya, all of the other stuff. Provide liquidity, swap, and stuff. I have some NFTs on Polygon. I have some USDT on Arbitrum. Like, I do some stuff like that. But like as far as like my daily spending money is like almost 100% Dash. Yeah. Every once in a while.
What's your reserve asset? You store that.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Because I haven't thought that through as much as I should. Most of it today is probably Dash because the income that comes in, the liquid capital I need to spend on things, and I just haven't thought like, oh, let me go squirrel some away and this and that and stuff. But
I've never looked at a Dash chart, and I hate to go back into Fiat world, but like, what does it look like? Is it decent?
probably looks pretty trashy. It'd be the chart you said.
The chart, the price. I mean, your overall ability to store value in it.
Yeah, probably trash. To be honest, at this point. But the good thing is like because of the ability to use decentralized cross-chain finance now, it's something where people can. And that's another thing. Like you argue with Maxis on Twitter, like, oh, BitcoinCash, here's the chart, and like,
It's a straight line down.
but like people don't need to worry about that if they're using whatever works for them. And Litecoin has the same experience too. Monero has the same experience. Everything useful has the same experience. I mean, the room chart's not that great, right? I mean, even though I think it's going to do a lot better in the next couple of years.
As long as it's not actually going to zero, right? Because I think we can point to all of those chains and be like, oh, it's kind of rising a little. It's at least stable-ish.
Yeah, it's like why? Like if it has utility, why do you care? Unless you can, as long as you can throw some BTC into a couple liquidity pools, which I do have, like THORChain and Maya, and then I have some savers for Avalanche, just some random things, and then it's like it's gonna be fine. So yes, that is a challenge, and that is why a lot of crazy people like me don't care too much. But everyday people, it's so hard to not have a stable coin because they're just like, well, what if it went down 20% over the course of 3 months or 6 months?
Yeah.
And they're not used to the up and down and whatever. They're just like, oh, I made a say, I got paid and I didn't do anything with it. So, a stable coin or a price stabilization mechanism like, any hedge or whatever, I think is like super valuable for the average normie person who can't do all this advanced ninja shit that we do, right?
See, and as you were just saying that, I was just thinking about it. Maybe we can even ask the general protocol guys, oh yeah, well, could we support something like Litecoin or Dash and be able to hedge against those assets? Because that would actually help with the store value aspect in both of our cases, actually. Because, I mean, I think a lot of the people who are living on crypto realize as much to a lot of BCH people's dismay, like it is a multi-coin world. As much as I'm a maximalist, I have to acknowledge that, right? People are using these other coins. If I go to some place like New Hampshire, there's gonna be these other coins that I have to use. So that's where something like THORSwap is a godsend to me.
Yeah, well, like the joke, what I like to say is like I live exclusively on gas tokens. Because like, if you think about it, most of these crypto tokens are like gas tokens for stable coins and other things, right? And it's like
Settlement liars.
yeah, they're like just using gas. It's just like some people, can you imagine like having like a tank of petrol and using that to trade for your coffee? It's a little weird, but like I come from like the sound money background. I like to tell people that Peter Schiff got me into crypto because he did. He had a gold-backed debit card, and I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. I'm gonna live on sound money. This is just amazing. And then I heard about Bitcoin. Oh, it is way better. So like, it still came from that kind of thing where, as much as I acknowledge the utility of stable coins, I also acknowledge the lack of utility of the government inflating your money away. And so as a person, again, but I also acknowledge that I'm not everyone.
So if you think about what value is, it's essentially your scarce time and effort multiplied together. And so you convert it into a medium which allows you to buy someone else's time and effort. I think you called it labor before. And people think capital is an end state. You want to spend your whole life accumulating capital and wealth. And what they don't realize actually, capital is just an intermediary holding position for your ability to purchase someone else's time and effort.
Capital flow state, which sounds like a good band, by the way.
Right. and then you got to ask, well, what are you doing with that time and effort? And that is literally to take all your time and effort and convert it into memes and genes, which I keep banging on about.
Yeah,
so upgrading the memetic repository and having kids and upgrading humanity's genetic repository. That's what it is. So what you actually think about time, which is one way, and effort, time multiplied by effort creates an entropy change of the universe. So you're increasing the entropy of the universe. So when you store your value in a unit of account of entropy change, that's what it is. That's what value is.
Yeah.
So when you think about what is the best way to measure entropy change, and like you hope to convert your time and effort into good entropy change and to sell that into a market of value, right? A neutral monetary medium to demark entropy change, the best ones are actually proof of work assets because they directly measure proof of entropy change by basically taking energy and turning it into waste heat. So proof of work will be the alpha of money because it provably demarks entropy change, whereas the United States dollar or a proof of stake asset is a proxy for entropy change. So it's a derivative of entropy change itself, whereas a proof of work asset is actually the entropy change itself demarked. So that's why the alpha of money eventually will be a proof of work asset. There's no way around
I
it.
agree with that. Unfortunately, you are in a position to think about stuff in that way, and most people are not. Like that kind of conversation is like, nobody thinks about it that way. They're more concerned about price go up or not go down. And it causes, like for people who are not into this, that they don't think about that and they can't adjust to it. And so stablecoins, even though, or fiat, even though the value of them are dropping always, they don't feel it because it's not as fast as the value dropping, in 1 year for Bitcoin or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to communicate exactly that in ways that other people who are not familiar with this can hear at all. And I'm still looking for the right way to communicate that what you do with your time and your effort is important to your future time and your effort. And I don't know, like if you talk to your girlfriends or your parents or whatever, it's deaf ears. Do you not see this? Do you not get the same thing, same reactions?
So I to that point, I think the best angle that I've been able to find with people is talking about this as a human rights issue. I refer back to Frederick Bastiat talking about plunder, his definition of plunder, and that's exactly what fiat currency is. They are robbing you of your time and energy at the end of the day, because that's all money is. It's a measurement of your time and energy. And so when you bring it down to that level, that's something everybody can understand. This is a human rights issue, which is why I fully believe that the necessity for sound, hard currency and a separation of money and state is the crisis of our time. But
I do the same thing. So we're making poor people poorer. Not we, the government, the fiat company, fiat corporations, I call them, make poor people poorer. And the people who are against crypto are often, to themselves, advocates for poor people and advocating for the tools that make them poorer. And that is the conversation I have with them in the similar way you're talking about. But I talk about it in terms of like finances that they're experiencing as opposed to a rights kind of position. But I can never do that, what you just did. I can never talk to it on a scientific energy comparison and make any headway at all.
But are poor people actually poor? Like, what is the difference between what you call a wealthy person?
Sure.
What is a poor person?
Yeah.
Because everyone has the same battery of time to use. You're productive from about 15, 20, and then you become really unproductive at about 85, 90. Right? So everyone's got the same battery of time, and within a factor of 10, the same degree of
effort output over the life, right? Everyone has those opportunities. And everyone has access to the same memetic repository through the internet these days. Or even like there's almost no excuse these days to say that you are poor in any way, because
I disagree with you there, only because I think people's access to good food, a decent night's sleep, the energy that they need to power their whatever, I don't think that's equal access for everybody.
But no, you're looking at a very thin lens here. Yeah. Everyone's purpose, every biological machine's purpose, from the plant outside to the cow in the paddock, the purpose is literally to upgrade humanity itself, genetically and memetically. So contribute a useful set of instructions through the genes to procreate, but also to contribute to the vast memetic repository, which is a useful set of non-genetic instructions to survive the universe. And none of that requires wealth at all. Everyone has convert their time and effort, which is equal at any point, and contribute to the genetic repository and the memetic repository. That is equal access.
It is, but your 5 minutes of production to buy a loaf of bread is different than somebody else's, like 5 minutes or half an hour to buy the same piece of bread, right? I mean, like, you're not saying something wrong, but...
Is it though? But if you take the 5 minutes of time in the place of origin, it would probably take the same amount of labor to purchase the same amount of energies to eat, more or less, around the world. You might not be able to buy an iPhone, but is an iPhone necessary to upgrade the genetic and memetic repository?
I guess.
Because Isaac Newton didn't have an iPhone when he
right.
when he observed the apple fall from the tree, and it contributed a very powerful meme, which is 4-6-MA. Right?
Sure.
Albert Einstein didn't have an iPhone. So
yeah, I'm not saying you need the iPhone. I'm just saying you've got a set of conditions that are like me in a first world country and somebody in a third world country. Those conditions give me access to different things, and my
but are those things actually necessary? Right?
Sometimes, yeah.
You know,
food, healthcare.
But everyone has access to that. Everyone today is alive and will be alive tomorrow, so they do have sufficient food.
Sure, but some of us aren't starving, and some of us aren't.
But they're going to be alive tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantee of that. Yeah. We could all die right now.
Not if they're starving.
Well, anyone can go at any given point in time.
The adjustable bootstrapping required is going to vary drastically from situation to situation.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation to dive down that rabbit hole might be longer than what we have here today.
Well,
I don't know. We're at a political conference right now. Let's get into it. I don't know. I think proof of work, though, I mean, just to rewind a little bit, I really liked what you were saying in terms of it's almost like a philosophy. I've come onto some podcasts and said this a couple times, where proof of work really is a philosophy that can be applied to almost everything in life. I mean, we're doing proof of work right now by doing this recording and sharing our knowledge and sharing that knowledge with the world, right? That's something that can't necessarily be replicated. It's something that is hopefully bringing value to somebody who's watching this, right? Or value even to each other. But the analogy that I always give to try to simplify it is, okay, if I want to build a bridge, we're going to compare like the proof of work method to the proof of stake method. Proof of stake would be a bunch of investors putting money down on building this bridge, right? Is that going to build a bridge? No. Proof of work is you're going to have actual bricklayers laying those bricks, building that bridge. At the end of that, there will be a bridge there. They don't necessarily need capital in terms of liquid currency for that to happen. They need capital in terms of the actual resources used to build that bridge, i.e. bricks and labor. And to some degree, yeah, everyone has equal access to some of these things. Like, we're generally all born able-bodied. Some people aren't, unfortunately, but for the most part, we can generalize this. All of us are probably capable of building a bridge, right? Maybe not even necessarily to the same degree, though, right? Because, well, yeah, so there might be a lack of intellectual capital, right? I personally couldn't build a bridge without going and looking up the physics of a bridge, right? But my body can definitely lay those bricks. If my hand was cut off, that wouldn't be the case, though. So, I mean, when it comes to the whole equal access argument, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree with the idea of proof of work being a philosophy.
It's a piece of the truth, for sure, though.
Yeah.
My background's in energy. I really like the way you kind of posited proof of work being a direct measurement of the energy put into something. That's a really neat way to think about it, and I think it justifies your contention that the end result will be some proof of work methodology.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Can you elaborate on your project a little bit more?
I can. I've been in crypto since 2013. I'm now working with a group of people who share my vision and values about what crypto has always been for, and it's not necessarily for us all just line go up. I think you guys have similar values around what crypto is actually for, getting us off systems that don't work. But for me, the impetus for this project is that crypto is evolving, and the state it's in right now isn't functional. I don't mean zero functionality. I just mean it's not at 100%, and it's somewhere in the middle. And
It's not consumer ready, really.
And I think what we're identifying as one of the issues is that everybody wants to be the one coin to do it all, right? And so Bitcoin came out; it's dominating right now. Then there's this coin, there's that coin, and there are major coins with major market caps, but we have a lot of silos, and so we've got tribalism because of those silos, or the other way around. So we've got the Solana people, and we've got the Cosmos people, probably the THORChain people, and
which it's kind of like, isn't being a cross-chain maxi kind of anti-maxi?
It kind of is.
Like literally, there is no THORChain without multiple chains. So
Right.
What is a cross-chain maxi?
That's right. So so we have this issue, and we're solving it. We as people in crypto are solving it by interoperability solutions. THORChain's one of them. Layer 0 is another one. The way Cosmos does it is another one. And for us, we think that all of them are probably like the newer ones, and THORChain and so forth. They're probably the best we can do right now. And that's because we're unwilling to go to the infrastructure to bond chains together. And so Continuum Protocol, we developed technology that is available for chains to take on. And once you have it, they can talk directly together with zero knowledge protocol messaging. So we have an opcode upgrade that needs to happen. But getting this into Bitcoin, like how long has Drive Chains tried to get it? Like it's a long journey. So we know that. So we are going to try to build from the ground up, and we're going to start with our own chain for a number of reasons. This technology that we have doesn't need its own coin, but for a number of reasons we were pushed into, hey, let's do the blockchain. Let's show it on that. And so that technology will be in there, and then while we're doing that, we're saying, well, we're going to design a rock solid blockchain, and with features that other ones, either incorporating good ones from other chains, or new ones that we have ideas. But the interoperability part will be in there. So, sorry for this longer one, but the cool part is not putting chains together necessarily. Like attaching Bitcoin to Ethereum, great, you can safely and trustlessly represent Bitcoin on Ethereum, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is you can create new layer 1 blockchains that they can have coins, but they don't need them. And they settle in whatever main chain they're directly connected to. And now you can put custom consensus protocols on there. You can put all the utility on what we call service chains. And so when all the utility is there, you don't have to load up your main chain to have it be all in one and do all the one things. And then, if Bitcoin had this, then ordinals wouldn't make fees go skyrocketing. We were kind of looking at how does enterprise get into blockchain. Enterprise has to trust blockchain, and all the bridges that exist right now have been attacked, billions of dollars lost, fees go up in volatile ways that you can't predict. And by providing safe ways to move utility onto these service chains, as we call them, we can now have an economy throughout any chain, any tribe, any project, safely moving funds value in and out, and have all the utility that we need as much as people want. So the scalability is pretty much unbound. If there's something else you want to do, you make a new service chain for it. And the utility is also unbound. And we are making the infrastructure kind of code for this, and our entire work right now is to convince other chains to adopt it, so that we can have this world where cross-chain value transfer and asset transfer is smooth. So that it's like, if I have funds in my address, I can send it to my address on that chain. I don't have to go through a bridge. I don't have to go through anything like that. So with this, we just think the whole world of crypto gets better. That's my description.
Who's your initially, who's your end user, your target?
So that's the thing. It's crypto people, but we want Adidas to come into crypto. We want normal businesses to be able to trust crypto, trust that they can predict their expenses on crypto, and trust that funds aren't going to get lost, right? So ultimately, like to start with, it's going to be users of crypto who are in their tribes and want to try other stuff safely. But in the end, I think we all want the world in crypto. And if BitcoinCash is the right one for this company, then they can go there and feel free to go to another one, or move assets to this other one that has some feature that they need. And that's not facile enough, and that's what we're trying to fix.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys went for the same kind of vision. Drive chains are going for the same kind of vision. We're just approaching it a little bit differently.
Sure. Nothing wrong with shooting for the stars, for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Now, one thing that I would like as an end user is to find a way to obfuscate the chain I'm sending freaking Tether on. Like, not the drop-down menu, and like I had a hard time finding, like, someone sent me some stable coins, right? It's like, oh, you're reimbursed, you can travel, here you go. Send me in my little XDFR controller, they call it now, wallet. And so then I'm like, all right, I can't see it, so I have to add the token. And it took me so long to find, because it wasn't like USDT and then it says Arbitrum on the side. It's Arbitrum Bridge Tether or something. It's a giant list.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if we could get rid of the drop down to where you could always just send someone, say Tether.
It's just Tether, bro.
And just send them Tether. Just Tether, bro. And then if you just send them Tether and then you have it on one chain, they have it on another, and you find a way to just like maybe cause
That's exactly
race,
one of the use cases.
but bridge it over and hide that from the end user without the end user needing to know what you're hiding from them.
Yeah. That's exactly one of our use cases that we're. I mean, we're not going to approach Tether tomorrow, but that's our idea. Is that we can have a service chain, and that's the Tether service chain, and then it's trustlessly connected to whatever chain you actually want to use the Tether on, and then Tether only has to develop one, and you only have to use one, and that's kind of the idea. One of the ideas of why this is a useful technology. So I tooted my own horn.
So it seems like it's almost like an abstraction layer to like these other cryptos in a way that THORSwap kind of isn't. So I could see maybe if I had a wallet that implemented your protocol and I just want to send some Tether to Joel, then I would just have his address, which might not be a BCH address or a Dash address or anything. It might just be something completely different. And then your protocol might interact with these other chains in whatever way they can. Let's say it's like BTC to Monero. Maybe it'll just opt in for the atomic swap. Maybe it's BTC to BCH. Maybe we'll just go through THORSwap.
Yeah, as long as there's liquidity pools in the service chain, you can do that. And again, like if you're inside the service chain for Tether, I can send it directly to him on whatever chain that is connected to it. And it's just the address he gave us. There's no bridge. It goes in that multi-sig wallet through this bridge to this other multi-sig wallet where it gets minted.
And I could see the routing for that being like kind of smart too, because Tether's on like at least 4 or 5 different blockchains, right? So maybe we determine that the speed and the fees might be best on USDT Tron versus USDT Arbitrum or something like that.
And you have to figure that out now. So I mean, we like this project. That's what we're trying. It's a long journey for us. We think there's some smaller chains we can get into sooner, and then we're in this for the long haul. We were talking before about how the internet the internet kind of sucked in 2000. I was alive. I don't think you guys were. And there's all these scam projects and all. And then Amazon was a small business to start, and then 10 years later it was a real business. And I think that's where we hoped crypto would go faster than that, but I think we're in that process right now, just in general.
Had it not been hijacked, it may have by now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point because I like today, like where I think, because 12 years ago or whatever, when I first started like talking about Bitcoin and the other cryptos and stuff, I would have envisioned this far into the game way more people would be like using it for day-to-day transactions.
Yeah.
But I also didn't envision it being like the level where you have like every major presidential candidate was at least thinking of going to the conference. And like I didn't, so it succeeded past my wildest dreams in some ways and completely not in other ways. And it's just kind of
it's so dissonant.
it's kind of interesting, and like at some point I like to like merge all that, and but at the same time like that's the thing is what I care about has not performed well at large scale, but what I care about has performed fantastically at a small scale, where like for me every single year is easier to live on crypto, and every single year there's more people I discover doing this whole thing more seamlessly, and so it is getting better, but just like it's a trickle
Yeah.
at the same time as there's like booming everything else over here.
For of getting along in the tooth. We could go all night here. Got a chance to first of all, thanks for all of you for doing this on impromptu and contributing. Got a chance to read through your I guess you'd call it your ethos on the XL decel on your bio. If you can kind of take us out with the cliff notes on that, and we'll wrap it up for the evening.
No, the world needs to, what I say, or accelerate. The idea that we need to get out there, we need to get into the arena, we need to solve some hardcore problems, and if we don't, what's at stake is humanity itself. And that's really the call to action here. Is, you know, there's a fork in the road coming, that you will be zombified by these silicon machines, which will outmaneuver you and outplay you and give you an infinite content machine and turn you off and essentially make you unconscious, because coupling with universal basic income, which will take away your forcing function of survival, and just feed you an infinite stream of content. They will essentially steal all your time and effort away from you. So you need to outmaneuver the silicon machines, but also the call to action is we actually need to survive the universe and get out there. And our memetic repository, even our genetic repository, is at risk every single day here as a single planetary organ. Single planetary humanity. We need to get in the stars. We need to get onto the next planet.
We're centralized as a planet. As a planet.
We are completely centralized. Yeah. So just to avoid zombifying yourself and your children, get out there, get in the arena, start solving some hardcore problems. Money is a good place to start. It's just full of memes, and let's get going.
Any shout outs or last minute additions you guys want to add?
Yeah. Your phone is spying on you. Fiat is a scam. Live on crypto before it's too late.
I want to give a shout out to my mom, because I love her and I should tell her that more often. I also want to give a shout out to my girlfriend, because she has given me a lot of support, and she's one of the reasons that I'm here right now. And I want to give a shout out to the entire BCH community, because they're also a major reason that I'm here right now. And literally without the support of the really fantastic community, I mean, including you guys, even though you're not all BCHers, but there's just a lot of really great people in this scene, in this industry, and, you know, for all the bullshit that is happening, say, like at that conference, to know that there are actually some real ones here who really want to change the world, that's a really huge deal. It's what makes me wake up every day. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, family.
That's right. JP?
Let's keep building.
Yeah.
All right. Robert?
I guess I would love to have done that too for my mom and my wife and so forth, but I would got a shout out to my team. They are rock solid, and so if they're hearing this, that'd be great.
Shout out to my wife. She puts up with a lot of BS from me, not only in the my babbling about cryptocurrency, but in life in general. So, and shout out to the BitcoinCash community, which has been really cool to integrate with, and been very receptive, and nothing but positive experiences thus far. So with that, fix the money, fix the world.
Nice.